Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Prehistoric Kingdom. Now, last time we were at the beginning, we started to put Edmontosaurus. Yep, they're still here. They're still chilling. In fact, they're in the same spots as they were last time. And so with this one, we're going to put in the Nasutoceratops. But we're also going to talk about Camp Cretaceous. And yes, I know that I haven't really talked about Camp Cretaceous at all. But I just kind of feel like I might as well, you know? So, those who haven't watched Camp Cretaceous or haven't even seen the new season, spoilers. Spoiler alert. But if you have, then this should be fun. So, the one question that many people are asking, and I've seen Gaming Beaver react to this and ask the same type of question. As much, I don't think Swerve asked it, but he probably did. I don't know. I don't know about Best in Slot. He could have, but I'm not so sure. And what is the big question? Once again, spoiler alert. So the big question is basically around E750, aka known as the Scorpius Rex. Now those who have watched it or have heard about the Scorpius Rex, you've kind of seen how it looks by the toy, which I will have to say, the toy looks much better than what it looks like in the season. But do I like the season more than the other two? Yeah. So, of how I would put them in order: 3, 2, and 1. 1 being my least favorite season, because, it takes around the events of Jurassic World and how all that fell apart, which for me, I didn't really I knew what was going to happen, but I am getting off the track here, and let's finally get to the question that everyone has been asking about Scorpius Rex. Now, later in Season 3, we actually see the Scorpius Rex make a few appearances within the show. But it's the 5th episode, I believe, known as Eye of the Storm, and that's when we're first introduced to Scorpius Rex, when we first see it. And once we actually see it, and I will say this, I agree with Ms. Ronnie, it is ugly, but it's terrifying. It's like Frankenstein mixed in with a psychopath. No, it's pretty much Frankenstein. I can't really say psychopath. But later on, we see that Scorpius Rex is attacking everything in its path, / killing everything in its path. Not only that, but after Scorpius Rex is defeated, we hear Henry Wu actually say to Brooklyn that he made only one. but she said them. Yeah, guys, if you don't know, 2 somehow were in the season. He only made 1 Scorpius Rex, but there were 2. And this is where the big question comes in. How the heck did Scorpius Rex asexually reproduce if it wasn't a single sex environment? Well, that's the thing. It's a singular environment. What's the difference? Okay, so the difference is that a single sex environment is basically what they mentioned in the first movie of Jurassic Park. Grant mentions that some species of frogs are able to change their sex in a single sex environment so that they can pass on their genes and keep their kind alive. But Scorpius Rex doesn't have... There are no other Scorpius Rexes until up to that point where we see both of them. So, how does that work? Well, it's a singular environment. A singular environment means that they can reproduce by themselves. And what is that called? I believe, if I say this right, Pathenogenic. Yeah, I would have to say Pathenogenic, that's it. Pathenogenic is what it's called, and basically is what they refer to as animals that are not around their own kind, especially males or females, and thus reproduce asexually, and thus you get more. Well, that's what Scorpius Rex did. It reproduced all on its own. By talking about this, I am totally losing track. But many people are probably going to be like, okay, well, where's your proof? Where's your proof that this exists? Well, I researched. I actually took the time to research because I was questioning it myself. I was like, wait, how can there be 2? I don't understand. That's when I started to research. So I started to research animals that can reproduce asexually, and they showed like a list. And then I started looking up in a singular environment. Not much really came up from that, so I started to look up reproduce asexually again, and clicked on a link, which I'll put it down in the description below if you want to take a look for yourself. And apparently, they describe it in there. So, and thus there was 12 animals that could do that. Just like what Scorpius Rex did. Scorpius Rex reproduced asexually in a singular environment, which means it can reproduce all on its own, and thus we have the second Scorpius Rex, which many people are also like, oh, well, this Scorpius Rex has grown very quick, and I think I might have an explanation for it. Because maybe as soon as it got out into the wild, it started doing its thing. But then it started to, reproduce by itself. And so I would say during that time, it also took care of its young until a certain point. Because we know that dinosaurs have to grow up quick, or else they're not going to survive very long. Sauropods had to do it. Some ceratopsians had to do it. But some do take a while. So there's my theory of how it grew so large. But then you're also kind of wondering, well, if that's the case, why are they both fighting each other? That's another thing I also can explain. Like what Dr. Wu said, he actually used DNA from a scorpion fish. But I don't really see like much behavior of that in the Scorpius rex. Instead, I see more of, yeah, I can see a little bit from the scorpion fish, but I see more of like like when it attacked the Ceratosaurus, to me that looked like scorpion behavior. But what it mostly resembled was that of a leopard, because it mostly climbed in the trees. It dragged a dead Gallimimus up in the tree, like what leopards do in Africa, like what they do in Asia as well. And I will not kid you, the Scorpius rex acted more like a leopard than it did anything else. However, the climbing trees is not the only thing, because of the two animals that were the first two animals that were featured in the 12 animals list of what they did on the website was sharks and Komodo dragons. And for sharks, they actually tested it. They didn't think it was going to happen, but they tested it. They tested it on a hammerhead, and they didn't have that female hammerhead around any males or other females. So, but it still reproduced. It reproduced all on its own, and thus had pups. Now, I don't really know that much about hammerheads, of whether they can give birth or if they have an egg sac. But it still had pups nonetheless. It had 2 pups, I believe. If it wasn't 2, then it's probably just a pup. But that's what happened. They even tested it on a zebra shark, and the zebra shark had been away from her mate for 5 years, and thus gave birth to 3 pups. And they even tested the DNA to make sure all 3 had the DNA of their mother, and none from like a male. It was 100% mother. She reproduced asexually in a singular environment. And that's what Komodo dragons do as well, because in the England Chester Zoo, they had a female Komodo all by herself with no other contact of Komodos, no males, no females, and yet she laid 11 eggs. She laid 11 eggs, and I don't know if all of them hatched, but some of them hatched. I know some of them hatched, because it said that they hatched. And she had offspring. And all had the DNA of her and nothing else, and no other Komodo. It was just her. So, that tells you something. If those animals could do the same, so can Scorpius rex. Because Scorpius rex could have DNA from some of those animals. Like, sure, it has the venom qualities of that of the scorpion fish. It might have some behavior, like genetic behaviors of that of a leopard. Because even leopard moms and daughters will share their habitats, but they will get into fights. But you also have to remember that with Scorpius rex being worse than the Indominus, because the Indominus ate her sibling. So that makes you think that this one doesn't really care for another for its own kind, and thus could kill another of its own kind. But that's pretty much the answer I have to give, because I started looking up on what animals could do this, and so far I found a list of them. I'll put the link about it in the description. And that's pretty much it that I have for the video, and I know that we didn't really focus that much on Prehistoric Kingdom. I mean, we can... Here, let's talk about the Nasutoceratops really quick before we actually go. So let's take a look at Nasutoceratops. I really love this design more than the other two, but I kind of wish the frill for the male was only for the male and not for the females, because even the females have it. And here's a different skin variant. See, this is what I could... See, this is one that I could tolerate, being a female skin. That's a good skin for being female. That's like a male skin. This is more like a female skin. Don't you think? Where's the male at? Where's he at? Here he is. Here, let's pause. Hide interface. And, oh yes. No. Let's have it. Oh, yes! Much better. Yeah, I know we didn't really focus more on them. I'm sorry about that. But, might as well wrap up with the finale. And also having to talk about some dinosaur-related stuff. So, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.